Tonight on Under the Scope.
See? If you could only see what's going on behind the cameras.
I think that we've worked very hard and we just...
Are you tired of American Idol and making the band? What about people who go about making it the old-fashioned way? You know, they form a band, learn some songs, write some of their own, and practice. And then when they're ready, they head for the cover band arena and work their way to stardom. So we at Under the Scope decided to dedicate a series of stories to these working class musicians. There are no free rides here, they earn it all. They are your typical blue-collar workers, hence the name blue-collar bands. Tonight you meet 52 Pickup. Jazzman is a drummer and vocalist of the band and feels that this group of musicians are more than just business partners. They are family.
Friends, anytime I have a problem, I call Coop or Bert or Jack or Eric. I mean, I can call any one of those guys. They're, my support structure in the morning, when I'm having a bad day. Anything about just being a friend. These guys have, done for me time and time again. And
he says this is not the case in other bands he's been in. For that reason, he feels they are on the rise. Eric is lead singer and co-writer and founder of the band.
I hope originally we come off as taking on our own style.
But he admits to being influenced from a variety of musical styles.
Heavily influenced by the Beatles as far as, old school rock and roll. And then Counting Crows.
Jack is a guitarist, vocalist, and other half of the co-writing team, and admits he got into the band just to make a little extra money, but got a lot more.
Some chemistry going. That's the most important thing, I think, when you're in a band. There's a million musicians out there that are better than you. You're always gonna...
He feels the success of the band is a tribute to the friendship. Coop is a guitarist, drummer, and vocalist.
I've always wanted to be a rock star. I'm not saying that I'm a rock star now, but I've always wanted to perform in front of people. I was always performing.
Coop has been playing the guitar for over 18 years and has never sees himself giving it up.
Eric and I were just walking around during the day. We passed by the club that we were playing, and we saw an acoustic act of 3, 4, 60-year-olds just jamming it out. We looked at each other like, how great would it be to just do that?
Bert plays bass and is a vocalist.
All my life, basically, is my father is a music teacher, and my brother is actually a concert organist. So I, been around it all my life, basically. My uncle was a, I guess you call a child prodigy. He could play like 6 different instruments since he was like 10. And so I got on both sides of the family.
They definitely gave him the groundwork to give it his best shot. So now that you have some insight to the band, there's some basic questions that need to be answered. When did the band form? How long has this group been together? And where in the world did they come up with 52 Pickup? It was November 1995, and Eric was a student at Westchester University in Pennsylvania when a classmate stumbled upon the secret passion.
Near in college. When I went to the bathroom. And I came back, and it's in some guy's lap, and he's reading it. He says, "Are you in a band?" I said, "No." He said, "You want to start a band?" I said, "No." He said, "Why?" I said, "I don't know." I said, "I don't play anything." He said, "You can sing." I said, "I don't know how to sing," And he said, "Why don't you just try it?" He's like, "Let's turn these things into songs." And so I figured, it wouldn't hurt. So I sat down with him and we started writing. It was just the two of us. And the weird thing about it is I was hooked on it instantly.
So they decided to start a band, and they wanted to use their own music. So they became an original band. From that point on, the group formed, but it was only 2 weeks after forming the group lost one member.
The guy that initially got me involved, after 2 weeks, quit. Because we all kind of had this little click and a way that we wanted to go about doing it. And he wanted to do it a different way, and it's kind of weird, because he brought me into it.
Shortly after forming the band and practicing, the band was partaking in a number of original band competitions and was finding some success. But it was not a total success story because being an original band is a tough act.
Played the original circuit in Philly, which is brutal. It doesn't pay. It's tough because people in this area, the original music scene is not great. It's a lot better now than it was 10 years ago.
So then the band decided to get a manager to help them try and make some money. It was from there they decided to go into the cover band arena. And that's when the band found out cover bands needed a catchy name. So they decided to use the name 52 Pickup.
Well, here's how it happened. I don't tell this story often. People assume it's a card game or a pickup truck or something like that. Long story short, he is getting hit on by this girl one night when we're done playing. And she looked like she was, in her mid-30s or something, and she was, I don't know, I guess attractive enough. We all kind of rolled, and he was still hanging out. He comes to band practice 2 days later with a purse in his hand. And, like, what's that? What's up with the pocketbook? And he said, that girl from Tuesday night, she left it at my house. I'm like, what? She didn't call and get it back? He said, no. Like, did you open it up? He said, no. So our guitar player grabs it, opens it up, and he's looking through it. He pulls out a license, and he starts cracking up, and he starts pointing at him, and he's yelling, 52 Pickup! And we're all like, what? And he keeps yelling it, and he's cracking up. At this point, he's on the floor laughing. And we didn't know what he meant, but he had calculated the age on the driver's license, realized our drummer, who was, I guess, 26 at the time, we were all around 20, 21 years old, slept with a 52-year-old woman. And a few years down the road, when we had to change our name, when we went into the cover circuit, our management said, you guys got to come up with a name, and somebody suggested 52 Pickup after the memories we had, with this particular drummer.
Then by the end of the 1990s, the band learned of a guy who could play a bass and sing, so they decided to approach him.
I was doing open mic night at a place called Jocelyn's, and we're kind of looking for a band. I was playing in a wedding band. I was kind of getting sick of it, and Eric and the old drummer from the band came out, and they said, "Wow, you think you're pretty good? Why don't you come out and practice with us?" And I practiced with them one day, and I started. And I think the next week we were playing. So.
Now the band seems to be going well, but they soon started to grow apart, and 3 members decided to leave Eric and Brian behind. So now the band was falling apart, but the 2 friends decided to keep it going, and their manager had a client that was looking for a band.
I came into the band through, I met Eric through an agency. He and I kind of hooked up through that, talking a little bit. He said that he was having some trouble with his current lineup, and he was looking to possibly add myself and my buddy Coop, who plays guitar in the band now. So the 2 of us kind of came as a package deal.
In fact, Coop got to know Jazzman before this in an unusual way.
Answered an internet ad that our drummer originally put out. It's kind of weird getting into a band by an ad. I was always in bands before, but this was actually the big time thing that actually got me into agents and management and stuff like that, which is always something I wanted to get into.
So after meeting Jazzman and Coop, they were almost complete, but they wanted one more person in the mix, and Eric had the guy just in mind.
Jack and I were playing acoustic at the time. He was in a band called Max Meyer that was pretty successful. They got signed, and it didn't end up taking off, or I don't think that maybe the level of commitment was there for the guys once they reached that level. People didn't want to give up their day jobs and take a chance, and that project sort of fell apart, and then in came Jack.
And that takes the band into 2005. That concludes this edition of Under the Scope. We'll be on again in 2 weeks. I'm Charles Old, and Prosit.